Okay, today we are going to be looking at solving system of equations by the substitution method. Yesterday we looked at the graphing method. Today we are going to look at the substitution method. Now if we look at this first example, we have x plus y equals 9, and then it says y equals 5. Well, just thinking about this one, what value of x could make this true? Well, if we substitute this 5 in for the y, well, then we get this equation x plus 5 equals 9, and we know that the value of x has to be 4. We can show this algebraically by subtracting 5 from both sides. So the x value has to be 4. So if we know that x equals 4, that means our solution is going to be the value 4, 5. The x value is 4, the y value is 5. So if we look at the second example, now it's a little bit harder. It says we have 2x plus y equals 14, and then we have x equals 2. Well, now we know the x value, we need to find the y value. So what we want to do is we want to substitute the x value back in. I also like to call this method the circle and point method, because I'm going to circle this 2, and I'm going to substitute this 2 in for my x. So now I'm going to write a whole new equation. So when I substitute in, I have this equation 2. I'm taking out the x, and I'm replacing it with this other 2. So we take out the x and we put in 2, and now we have to solve this for y. So we have 2 times 2 plus y equals 14. Well, we know that 2 times 2 is 4. So we have 4 plus y equals 14, and we can subtract 4 from both sides, and now we get y equals 10. So now we know the y value. So we know that the y value is 10, and we know that the x value is 2 because it told us in the beginning of the equation. So our solution is 2, 10. The x value is 2, the y value is 10. So the solution is 2, 10. Now if we look at example 3, now we have two equations. And what we want to do with these, we have 2x plus 3y equals negative 8, and then it says y equals x plus 4. Well, we want to substitution method. So we're going to substitute this y value. So we know it says y equals x plus 4. So I'm going to circle that. So I'm going to circle x plus 4. And we want to substitute this in for the y value. So I plug it in for my y value. So I'm going to take out y and replace it with x plus 4. So I'm going to rewrite my new equation. So I have 2x plus 3. And we're taking out the y. We're taking out that y and we're replacing it with x plus 4 equals a negative 8. So we took out the y value and we substituted x plus 4. So now we have an equation that we can solve. So the first step in solving this equation is we want to distribute. So we're going to distribute this 3. So this becomes 3x plus 12. I'm going to bring down my 2x. So now I have 2x plus 3x plus 12, and it all equals negative 8. Now I know that I have a 2x here and a 3x here. If I put the 2x and the 3x together, that will give me a 5x. Since they both have x's, combining their like terms, plus 12 equals negative 8. Now it's a simple two-step equation. We subtract 12 from both sides. We do minus 12. Crosses off. I bring down my 5x. Negative 8 minus 12 gives me negative 20. And we divide by 5. So we get x equals negative 4. So now we know our x value. So we know that the x value is negative 4. To get the y value, well, we have this equation that already tells us that y equals x plus 4. So if I know that y equals x plus 4 and my x value, we know that the x value is negative 4. So we're going to substitute negative 4 back in for x. So y equals negative 4 plus 4, or y is equal to 0. So now we know that x is equal to negative 4, and the y value is 0. So our solution is negative 4, 0. The x value is negative 4, the y value is 0. So our solution is negative 4, 0. If we continue to move on, now it gets a one step harder. Now when we look at this, we have 4x plus 4y equals 12 and 3x plus y equals 9. Now a substitution method, we want it to say x equals or to say y equals. Well, if you notice this, it almost says y equals right here. Almost says y equals. So what we have to do is we have to get rid of that 3x. Well, the way we get rid of that 3x is we do minus 3x. And we do minus 3x on the other side. So now we have this new equation. It's y equals negative 3x plus 9. So y equals negative 3x plus 9. So we have to solve this for y first. And now we can do our substitution method where I'm going to circle that equation, that negative 3x plus 9, and I'm going to substitute this in for y. So I'm going to take out the y value and plug in negative 3x plus 9. So we have 4x plus 4. Now I'm taking out the y and I'm replacing it with negative 3x plus 9. And this all equals 12. Now we have an equation to solve. Well, the first step to solve the equation is we distribute. So we distribute the 4. 4 times negative 3 gives me negative 12x. 4 times 9 is plus 36. So I have 4x minus 12x plus 36 equals 12. We have 4x minus 12x. Well, 4x minus 12x, this will give me negative 8x plus 36 equals 12. To solve this, we get rid of the 36. So I do minus 36 minus 36. So negative 8x equals negative 24, and we divide by negative 8, and x is equal to 3. A negative divided by a negative will give us a positive. So now the x value is 3. And once again, we need to find the y value also. Well, we already have this solved for y. Earlier we said we have y equals negative 3x plus 9. So if we know that y equals negative 3x plus 9, and I have my x value, so I'm going to substitute my x value back in, and we get y equals negative 3 times 3 plus 9. Well, negative 3 times 3, negative 9. Negative 9 plus 9, y equals 0. So our y value will be 0. So our solution is x equals 3 and y equals 0. And y will not always be 0, it just happened in these last two problems. Now if we look at the next example, and now this, once again, we have 3x minus 4y equals 14, and x plus 4y equals 2. Well, we need to say either x equals or y equals. Well, since this x is all by itself, we need to get rid of that 4y. So the way we get rid of 4y is we want to subtract 4y from both sides. Minus 4y. So now I'm just going to have x equals 2 minus 4y. So now I have this equation solved for x. It says x equals, so I have it solved for x. And I want to circle everything that x equals, so that's 2 minus 4y. And I can substitute this back in for the x value. So we're going to replace the x with 2 minus 4y. So I have 3, and now I'm taking out my x, and I'm substituting 2 minus 4y, that's what we circled, so we circled that, that's what we're replacing, and then minus 4y equals 14. Now we can simply solve this, so we distribute. 3 times 2 will give me 6. 3 times negative 4, negative 12y, minus 4y equals 14. Now when I look at my negative 12y minus 4y, that will give me negative 16y equals 14. We have to subtract 6 from both sides. We're just solving the equation. We're trying to get the variable all by itself. And now we have negative 16y equals 8. So simply divide by negative 16. And what we get is we get y equals negative 1/2, or we can say it's y equals negative 4.5. Some people like decimals, other people like fractions. So now we know the y value. Negative 1/2 and negative 0.5 mean the same thing. So we know the y value. So we know our y value. And now to find the x value, well, we already have this solved for x. So what we have to do is we say x equals 2 minus 4y. Well, we know that the y value is negative 1/2. We plug that in for y. So we get x equals 2 minus 4 times negative 1/2. Negative 4 times negative 1/2. Half of 4 is 2. So we get x equals a negative, and a negative is a positive. Well, 2 plus 2, so x will equal 4. So our x value is 4. So that means our solution, well, x is 4, y is negative 1/2, so the solution is 4 and negative 1/2. So 4, negative 1/2. And if we look at the last example here, number 6, both of these are solved for y. So what we want to do is we want to substitute one of them in for the other one. So if I look at the top equation, I circle what y equals. Well, y equals 5x minus 2, and I point to my y value. So I'm putting to my y value, I'm substituting this in for y. So I'm taking out y and I'm replacing it with 5x minus 2. Well, if I take out my y, 5x minus 2, and then equals, well, equals all of this, so it equals 3x plus 8. So now, with this one, I have variables on both sides. Well, to solve this, we have to get rid of one of those variables. So if we get rid of the 3x, the way we get rid of that 3x, we subtract 3x. Well, whatever we do to one side, we have to do to the other side. So we got rid of it here, so 5x minus 3x is 2x. I bring down my negative 2, and this all equals 8. Very easy equation to solve. Add 2 to both sides, trying to get our variable all by itself. So we get 2x equals 10. Then the last step is to divide by 2. So x is equal to 5. So we got our x value. So we know that the x value is 5. So our x value is 5. Now we have to find the y. Well, both of these equations are solved for y, so we just need to choose one. So it doesn't matter which one we choose. I'll just write the bottom one. So I'm going to pick y equals 3x plus 8. And I know that my x value is 5. I put that back in for x. So we get y equals 3 times 5 plus 8. 3 times 5 is 15. And 15 plus 8 is 23. So we get the y value of 23, which means our solution is the point 523. So this is the second way that we've looked at solving systems of equations. We looked at the graphing method. Now this is the substitution method, or the circle and point method, where we circle a value and we point and substitute it in for something else.